Happy Tuesday, and it's July the 1st, 2025. We are halfway through 2025. I'm John McEntyre. This is John McEntyre Show live, where our aim is your financial health and wellness. And so, that being said, like I said, we're halfway through 2025, all right? Halfway through 2025. Some people is looking at it like the year is gone, we're 2 quarters in, I haven't achieved my goals or whatever. Well, let's reframe that. Let's look at it as half a year left to achieve of opportunity to achieve those goals. Maybe you have to, maybe, change them around, maybe reduce them something like that. Choose the ones that's most important. That's my advice. If you haven't achieved any of your goals, choose the ones that's most important to you and just focus on getting those accomplished. So that on December 31st, you can look back and say, I accomplished my most important goal. Maybe I wasn't able to accomplish all of them, but I accomplished my most important one. So I jumped right in and just took off. And I didn't mean to do that, but it was because someone brought it to my attention. I was talking to them earlier and they was talking about that they don't feel like they've done anything. And so we, talked, had a conversation, and now they're okay. So 50% of the year is over with 50% of opportunity left. So there you go. And you have pretty much less than 6 months till Christmas. That's another big one. But before I get into it, the show is a good show. I'm answering a question about 401ks and specifically after you pass away, what happens to your 401k after you die. But before I get into that, it's a couple of things I wanted to cover, which is, don't forget the July budget. This day is July 1st. We're in the middle of summer. Well, not the middle, but summer is kicked off. And as far as I'm concerned, we are definitely in the middle of summer. We're in a heat wave here in the Charlotte area where we haven't seen under 90 degrees in a couple of weeks. And me personally, if I look at a thermometer or whatever, I get inside the car, start the car up, that thermometer says 103 degrees. I'm hot. And even though people say, well, it's really not that, it's just that under the car, it's a psychological thing with me. It gets me every time. So it's better for me not to even know about it than to actually know about it. So here, with the July budget, let's cover a few things. Don't forget, we're going to have those big parties. I'm 4th of July is one of my favorites because of, cookouts, things like that. The grills are fire, are jumping. And that's my favorite way of having food prepared is on the grill. And so I'm fired up. Speaking of fire, people are going to be buying those fireworks. So make sure those are in the budget, because it's funny to me, fireworks have gotten weaker and more expensive over the years. I remember when, certain firecrackers, you had to have, adult supervision, which you still do. But they were extremely dangerous. Today's fireworks, they're not as, we call them firecrackers here in the South, fireworks for everyone else. They always will be dangerous. They always will be dangerous, but they used to be much stronger. So they've gotten weaker and more expensive. But make sure it's in the budget, because it can definitely be a budget. I'm hearing people saying, yeah, I spent $500 for fireworks, and I spent upwards of $1,000 for fireworks, things like that. And I'm like, oh wow, that is a lot. I don't remember spending that much money. I can't fathom spending that much money for fireworks. But make sure you budget for the summer fun. Utilities have definitely went up. Cost of utilities. That vacation, put that in the budget. People are still doing those big vacations. And after the 4th of July, most people go into, with kids, we start thinking about going back to school. And so time to think about buying those school supplies and the school clothes. So put that in the budget. And those are the big ones to take care of for July, to keep an eye out for, start that shopping, things like that. Take care of that. So that's what taking care of the budget. Next thing, someone sent me a wallet win, even though I haven't been covering wallet wins lately. And I said I was going to bring them back. I didn't have a choice because this is one big wallet win. This one is it's one person. Normally, I get a few of them. I've done this, I've done that. This one person, and they really maximized the. Let me see. They started in March, and so this is from Lori K. Since March, I've put $1,000 in a high yield savings account. That's wallet win number one. My credit score has increased by 100 points. That's huge for that big of a jump in that amount of time. And I can see why here. I've paid off 4 collection accounts. So yeah, that's almost a year's worth of wallet wins for one person. And she's single, and she managed to make that happen since April. Well, the beginning of April. So yeah, that is worth celebrating. That is a huge wallet win, and that is worth celebrating. And before I move forward, I want to thank you for your wallet wins. Don't forget, keep sending them in because we want to celebrate with you. That's one of the things that keeps you motivated, is when you see yourself winning. It creates more motivation, and you stay the course, you stay on target, and you keep aiming for, those financial goals that are important to you. And so share them with us. Hashtag wallet win. If I see them, I will definitely share them while I'm on air. This is live, so let's do it. We can take care of it live. Questions, put the uppercase Q or capital Q, whichever way you call it. I see it. I will definitely answer the question, because this is a live interactive show. Yes, I do have a topic, but I am definitely open to answering your questions. And keep them financial, career, business, financial, things like that. I will make sure to do my best to give you answers. And it is free. So, you send me a question, you may get questionable advice. I don't know. You'll get what it's worth. Let's put it that way. So all of that's out of the way. That was one big wallet win, and I really enjoy that one. And I definitely celebrate that. All right, let's get into this particular topic. It was a question that came to me, and it basically, what happens to a 401k after a person dies? That's the way it was put to me. And so 401k is definitely, it can be one of your biggest assets, because it is maybe it could be maybe one of many investment accounts. We had a 401k at your employer, and I'm a big advocate. If they're matching dollar for dollar, or at least 50%. So if you give $1, they're giving 50 cents. You're doing $1, they're giving $1. Jump on it. Some people say, sometimes they say, wait before you take care of debt, wait before you take care of certain things before you start investing. But in that particular case, that's the exception. That's the exception to the rule, when they're matching that kind of money, and you do it over a long period of time. Someone's matching you 50 cents to $1 for every dollar that you're putting in. So you're automatically getting a return of 50% to a 100% return right off the top. And then the time of compound interest that's going on, because it is an investment account. 401ks are creating a lot of millionaires, a lot of millionaires in America. Probably, I've heard it said the majority, just over 50% of the millionaires in America are 401k millionaires. They're working for some of these excellent companies who do these dollar for dollar matches, 100% matches, and they have great investment accounts. They're working with the good funds, things like that. And over a period of time, they're becoming, millionaires. And that means there's a lot of money there. Okay, not everyone lives to see to actually start to retire, things like that. They pass away early, and this is the case. Someone wanted to ask me this. Right off the top, for when you pass away, a 401k is not treated like the rest of your estate. It's more similar to treated like insurance. It is not handled through a will. It's not handled through a will. It actually follows a different path, and the path that it will lead to, if you haven't been paying attention, it could end up somewhere you did not intend for it to end up going to. That's why it's very important to really stay on top of the 401k and any investment account, all accounts pretty much. But since we're talking about 401k, you have to stay on top of it, because a 401k passes like insurance. It passes to a beneficiary, like so many other investment accounts. When you open your 401k, it asks you, in case of your demise or whatever, who would you want to inherit this 401k? Who would be the beneficiary? So it's just like insurance. It's not, you can't will it to someone. It goes to a beneficiary, because it doesn't automatically become part of your estate. It transfers to the beneficiary. Whoever listed on your account gets the funds, no matter what your will say. So no matter what you've written in your will, if someone's been made beneficiary to the 401k, that's who's going to get it. Once you've proven, death certificate, things like that, the company issues the account to that beneficiary, and then the beneficiary, they have to handle it, because it is a 401k. It isn't an investment account, and things like that. Well, beneficiaries, since this is an important term when it comes to 401k transfer after death, it transfers. Beneficiary is dependent upon your particular situation. For instance, if you're married, your spouse is assumed to be your primary beneficiary. We know primary beneficiary is the first one that would receive. And as far as beneficiaries go, and I'll go a little bit deeper, it's like I say, it's similar to insurance, the way that beneficiaries are set up. But in this case, if you have a spouse, they are assumed to be the primary beneficiary. Even if they are your ex-spouse, if they are still on the paperwork as beneficiary primary, they will get the money. Even though you may not have wanted that to happen, it will happen. And for instance, if you haven't designated a beneficiary, the spouse will get 100% of the proceeds of the 401k when you pass away. Now, it is possible for someone else to be the primary beneficiary of your 401k, even if you're married, in whole or in part. But you would generally need the spouse's permission to do that, in the form of a signed and notarized spousal. It's called a spousal waiver. So your spouse will know where the money's going. A lot of people think, they can hide this, that, and the other if they have a spouse, whatever. Then if there's certain paperwork is not in place and everything is not in order, the spouse will find out. They will be told. And I've seen quite a few of those horror stories happen, where someone passed away, thought that they had gotten away with it, and this spouse over here who just going about their business, living life, and then they receive a windfall of money, and the person's gone away. Their plan was foiled, because these companies, it was like, this 401k will go to the spouse unless someone else has been designated by you and the spouse. So just keep that in mind. Second beneficiary, children. A lot of times children, maybe the spouse, you have the person has a spouse, and then they have children. They say, well, I want some of the money to go there. Okay, well, the spouse signs a waiver saying, for instance, I will receive 50%, And the children, if it's one, they will receive 50%, but if it's two, maybe 25. However, like I said, it's this similar to insurance. You designate the beneficiaries and how much they will receive. And children, unless they are minors, because minors cannot receive 401k, cannot inherit your 401k directly. A guardian must be provided in that case. We've seen that numerous times. Guardian is put over the child, that you choose. You can choose the guardian, and if you haven't chosen a guardian, the courts will do it, and it may not be the person that you would want to be guardian over your children. So we have to keep all of that in mind when it comes to 401ks and someone inheriting it. You passing it down when you pass away. Think about that. That yes, your children can receive it, but if they are minors, it will be over. A guardian has to oversee everything. And then once the child is, considered an adult, 18, become 18, then they can receive the proceeds. They can receive the funds or whatever, or, however that is set up. All of that is set up in paperwork. Now that's with a spouse and with children. Now, if you are single, you can name any person or any entity you want to be the beneficiary of your 401k if you pass away. I just tell people, make sure you review it. Make sure you review the beneficiaries, just like an insurance policy. Make sure you review your beneficiaries to make sure that you still want them to receive the money. And make sure you let them know that they have been made beneficiary. I mean, you have to have certain information from them to make them the beneficiary anyway, so they're going to know. And so you have to stay on top of that to help everyone understand that if you pass away, it won't be so messy on the backside. That, hey, your beneficiary, your primary beneficiary, you will receive the money. Or if you're primary beneficiary with some maybe a contingent, something happens to you as the primary, this contingent beneficiary would receive it. Or it could be a primary, and then other beneficiaries, also listed, saying primary beneficiary, going back to the earlier example, they receive 50%. This entity, for instance, they receive this nonprofit. A lot of people, they value, certain nonprofits that they give to, animal shelters, their church, other organizations that's important to them. They say this person is primary beneficiary. They will receive 50%, and then this entity, for instance, Shriners Hospital, for instance, or my church will receive the other 50%. And so, but it has to be in writing. If it's not, especially with you being single, no one's been made beneficiary, it goes to probate court, which means a lot of your money will be wasted, because probate is very expensive. That means the court's going to take it over and see who's going to get the money. And that's a long, drawn out, expensive process. And so that's where I'm going to end it there. Just making sure, when you do your 401k, if you have a 401k or any investment account for that matter, make sure there's a beneficiary or someone's going to receive it. Just don't let it go into probate, because that's a big waste of time and money. Well, that money could be doing much. It could be doing what you really wanted it to do. So keep that in mind. If you have a spouse, let's break it down. Let's do the takeaway. If you have a spouse, 401k, you pass away, it's assumed they will receive it unless they've signed a spousal waiver for it to be going to someone else. If you have children, they can receive it as a beneficiary unless they are minors. Then it goes to an account overseen by a guardian, and then once they become the age 18, usually 18, then they can receive the money. And if you're single, name beneficiary, primary, make sure, sit down and really think about it before you designate your beneficiaries. And make sure to check those beneficiaries that they are the people you still want to receive it. And if not, make sure to keep that updated. It's like updating a will, updating anything in your financial life. Beneficiaries, one of the most, some of the most important ones to really check out, because we've seen it time and time again that people are receiving money that the deceased did not want to receive the money any longer for whatever reason. So stay on top of that. All right, so I'm going to end it there. And if you need any assistance with maybe looking at your 401k or any other area of your finances, don't forget to contact us. Make sure, you let us know it came through the show. We will take a look at it and get you aimed in the right direction of getting your money on target. And we will make sure that you do it in your values, taking care of your money for what's important to you. It's never cookie cutter. It's always in, your what we always say here: value first, then money. Your values, then your money. That's how we work here. So contact us. Leave a message. You can go through, you can contact us through any one of these. If you're watching by Facebook, if you're watching by YouTube, or our information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Contact us and we will take care of it from there. So I want to thank you for tuning in. Friday is Independence Day, July 4th. So I hope you have a safe one. Don't forget to laugh, love, have fun, and do it in a safe way. So until next time, this is John McEntyre signing off.